As thousands of college students have fled Tallahassee to start summer break, Florida lawmakers have headed in the other direction. They're heading back to Tallahassee for yet another special session, this one for the only constitutional requirement lawmakers have, that is to pass a balanced budget.
Our Capitol Bureau reporter Cody Butler takes a look ahead.
After not coming to a budget agreement during the 60-day regular session, Florida lawmakers have to start the process over. Tuesday, both chambers will pass the same budget they passed in February, $1.4 billion apart.
It's less. Next year probably be less than this year's.
That's always been the goal. Leaders have agreed on how much the state is going to spend in next year's budget, but haven't said what that number is. Senate Appropriations Chair Ed Hooper said last month that's because of the 3- and 5-year revenue outlooks.
It clearly shows that we need to get back to a funding level pre-COVID, and we're getting there.
Lawmakers will spend the rest of the week going line by line, determining how much will be spent on things like education, healthcare, and transportation. House Minority Leader Fentress Driscoll says there are ways to spend less without sacrificing the needs of Floridians.
We should stop all of this wasteful spending on political stunts that do not benefit the people of Florida. $500 million would go a long way in moving Florida from its current position as 50th in teacher pay.
Driscoll, already agitated by the unusually long process, is hoping Republican infighting won't continue to derail the budget.
The consequences of not finishing with this extended timeline are too great. There are agencies and nonprofits who need to know what their budgets are. There are local governments that are waiting to negotiate contracts to make sure that they have allocated their money responsibly.
As things stand right now, any budget differences not sorted out this week will be determined by House Speaker Daniel Perez and Senate President Ben Albritton next week.
I'm comfortable we're not going to put the next presiding officers or the ones after these next two in a hole that they can't get out of.
Lawmakers are expected to vote on the budget after Memorial Day. In Tallahassee, I'm Cody Butler reporting.